Hello everybody, this is Victor from the Facebook group. So what is it that makes Mod Organizer such a powerful tool for modding? Why is it any better than Nexus Mod Manager? Well, it isn't, I guess, but it's more versatile and it does things very differently, and because of that it makes modding easier in a lot of ways. Nexus Mod Manager is a great mod manager, especially if you're just playing one character. It does have profiles, the newest ones do, but it handles them very differently, and it handles the installation of mods very differently. And so if you are really interested in modding and you really want to know what's going on under the hood, and you want to have a graphical representation of what's going on under the hood, to make it easier for you to track down problems, Mod Organizer is the mod manager of choice. The first thing it does that is different from Nexus Mod Manager is Mod Organizer keeps all of your mods in a separate directory. It doesn't put them in this data directory. This is sacrosanct. This is where the original Skyrim files reside, and only the original Skyrim files reside. In my case, I install SKSE there, but that's just me. Essentially, it is kept pristine in a Mod Organizer workflow. Everything else is in the Mod Organizer directory, all your mods, all your profiles, everything. And when you create a profile, it creates not just a directory for saves, but it also creates these text files that tell Mod Organizer what mods you have and what order they're loaded in, etc. for that profile. It also keeps separate copies of your INI files. Each profile has its own separate Skyrim and Skyrim Prefs INI files, and they're very easy to get to, very easy to edit right here for each profile. That makes a huge difference. It really does. It's doable with Nexus Mod Manager, but it's not nearly as easy. Mod Organizer also provides a very seamless way of executing external applications. Nexus Mod Manager does it also, but it doesn't do it quite as easily. There's an easy way to pass arguments to external applications right through this interface here. It's pretty seamless. Mod Organizer has a lot of other powerful tools, but it's not worth going into them at this point here. Mod Organizer separates your installed mods into two areas. Your overall area in the left pane, which is where all of your named mods are, everything, graphical, texture mods, overhaul mods, everything. The right side is all the plugins. These are all the working files for Mod Organizer and Skyrim to use to play your modded game. So what makes this so powerful? Well, it organizes everything in order of priority from top to bottom, and the top being the lowest priority, the bottom being the highest priority. The one on the bottom always wins. That's important to know. It's the case with everything, and Nexus Mod Manager works pretty much the same way. That's why load order is important. But it's much easier to see what's going on in Mod Organizer. When you load a mod in Nexus Mod Manager, you'll often get this little window that says, no to mod, no to all, and yes to this, no to that. You don't get any of that with Mod Organizer because it puts the mod here in this left side, and it shows you what it's overriding and what's being overwritten by, what is being overwritten in that mod and what that mod is overwriting. So for instance here, optimized vanilla textures. There's a whole mess of stuff that this mod gets overwritten because it is the lowest in terms of graphics mods, except for these up here, which are the base files for the DLCs and everything. I have it at the lowest priority. Everything below that in the list overwrites pieces of it. So you can see all in red, these mods here all overwrite pieces of optimized vanilla textures. That's the way it works. Everything at the bottom gets overwritten by anything above it in priority. And it's an easy way to figure out what might be causing a problem if you have a texture that isn't loading correctly. It's also just an easy way to figure out where you want things to load. And it's an easy way to know whether a new mod that you have installed is going to overwrite something you don't want it to overwrite. That's really important as well. So anyway, no more about that. Crashes. The most common crash, especially for people who are just starting out modding, is the crash to desktop at load. So when you get past the Bethesda logo and you go into just before you get the menu for the saves, there's a little Imperial logo, boom, the thing crashes to desktop. No warning, no thank you, no sorry, no nothing. That's usually caused by a missing master. Over here in Mod Organizer you can see exactly what's missing. Now you can, in Nexus Mod Manager 2 gives you an idea of that, but it's a lot easier to see here in Mod Organizer. So every single one of these mods has, when you roll over it, a list. It'll show you a little list of what mods it depends on. This is Dindulod. It depends on a whole crap ton of mods. And so if I found a mod, say Windhelm Docks Pathways, there's a cool little mod that adds some stuff to Windhelm, and I unchecked it. I'm going to quick find it here, and down at the bottom here, unchecked it. Immediately I get a little warning in Dindulod, missing master, Windhelm Docks Pathways. So I know if I have a crash, and I haven't noticed that, but generally you look here before you even load the game and make sure there's nothing like that in there. And if you find one like that, you go looking for the mod that's missing. So let me load that up, and then we'll load the game. So the priority order is fixed per profile, so it knows exactly where to put itself. It knows exactly where to put itself back over here, as long as you don't fart around with things too much. Otherwise you have to redo it with loot. All the external applications that you want can be fired off from right here. Loot is probably the most important. TES5 edit is important, but it takes a little more learning. And no, I'm not an expert in it, even close. So there you go. The last item that makes there's all kinds of other things here. These are the archives tab, the data tab. These are very important in Mod Organizer, but way beyond the scope of this. But in terms of other easy things that you can see in Mod Organizer, here's my current Let's Play, and you can see when you roll over the saves, it gives you a little window, and if you look down there, it says missing ESPs. If there was a mod that I had unloaded from this profile, it would tell me that it was missing from that save, and that can cause problems. As anybody who mods knows, if you really don't want to remove ESPs from a mod mid-play. It's very dangerous. It's doable, but only with precautions and care. So if you're having problems and you look at your save and there's a missing ESP, well, you know what might be causing some of those problems. So now, what does it look like when you build a profile and do your modding through Mod Organizer? Well, I built this today, spent most of the day on it. Yeah, I know, that's just because I love doing this, and it's fun for me. Some people it's not fun. At any rate, there's a bunch of mods in here. I won't go through any of them because that's not what this is all about, but here's what it looks like. I've built this up. Now, it's not fully tweaked yet, so occasionally it might crash at the very opening, but here we go. So I'm gonna start this off, and you can just see what a modded game looks like when it loads from Mod Organizer and loads in to the world with its mods intact, as it were. So we're going to go in this way, and this is where, if there's a missing ESP or a missing master, this is where it usually crashes. And no, thank you very much. I don't want to share my gameplay. I'm recording, so go away. Thank you. I don't know if you guys could see that, but the little thing popped up from NVIDIA. So, all right, so here we are, new, and we're going to start the game. Now we're going in with alternate start, live another life. So we're going to pop into a dungeon instead of the opening cart ride. We're going to pop into a character creation mod called Race Menu, and you'll see that at the outset. Very powerful, far more versatile than the standard character build, or whatever you want to call it. And one of its most powerful tools is the ability to load presets. So we're just going to load the preset that I already created for this guy. His name is Will Hawthorne. He's a Bosmer. There he is. Hello, Will. And we're going to just name him, and we'll head on into the world. Now we're going to give it a second to load some of the structure before we run into Skyrim. Dindulod, which is this amazing tool that I was mentioning on Game Talk earlier today, is sensitive, to put it mildly. And it has a tendency, because it's very script heavy and very processor heavy, it can have issues. So I'm just gonna do this quickly because I like the world to look nice. And there we go. Alright, so that's what the mod configuration menu looks like. All the mods that have a section in the mod configuration menu are here. This is all thanks to SkyUI, the amazing tool, and SKSE. Without those two things, this would not be possible, and that's why SKSE is so important, and why console mods have to be tweaked in different ways in order to work without it. So here we go. I'm just going to...
Approach, my child, and choose where your new life shall begin.
This is not the way that Will is going to start his actual playthrough, but I'm going to, for purposes of this, I'm just going to go with Camping in the Woods, which always opens up near Helgen.
The woods can be so peaceful this time of year. Good hunting.
But it also causes issues because sometimes when Alduin spawns, it causes the game to crash. So hopefully, with Dindulod loaded. So hopefully that won't happen here. It'd be kind of embarrassing. So we're just going to stand still here and hope everything goes well as we wait for Alduin to spawn. So we've already saved, and so there's Alduin. Here he comes, does his thing. Hi, guy. I might be seeing you later, maybe not. So hopefully that will be it. Soon we should, if we didn't already get the, I didn't notice if we got the little notification that says Dindulod has loaded in. So here we are, and this is what my game looks like with the little tweaks in Imaginator. The trees are thanks to a new mod. Yes, Michael, if you listen to this, it's a different tree mod. It's not simply bigger trees. It's called Enhanced Tree Meshes or something like that, and it's amazing. It's a little tweakier than simply bigger trees, but it is so much better in so many ways. So we're going to just run around here quickly a little bit. I have a few other things. Here's a little mod, little mini maples. I forget exactly what they replace, but they're kind of cool. There's some beautiful mountain flower textures that I found, and we're just headed over to the road over here. All of this, the clouds you see are part of a mod called Real Clouds. I don't run weather mods anymore. I like them, but they can cause issues, and Real Clouds does some pretty cool things with volumetric fog and stuff. It looks good. Sometimes it's a little over the top, but it's kind of cool. I love the way the clouds sort of roll in like that, and the fog comes down off the mountain. These are these pretty blue mountain and purple and red mountain flowers. They're really nice looking. So from here, we're just going to go down to Whiterun and take a look at what Dindulod does and what another little mod called Automatic Variants does. I'm just going to take you on a little tour of a modded game, and we'll see how this works. It's kind of cool. I gotta remember to do one other thing here since we're just derping around the game. I actually don't know where I'm going to end up. Okay, good. I do have a mod that adds some stuff to the Loreas farm area. Settlements expanded, so you've got a few more buildings here. I think there's a vendor and a smith. These butterflies are from Lepidoptera of Skyrim. They add a bunch of little cool butterflies. So let me just make sure I'm sort of semi-protected here, and we're just going to run across the tundra here. So you can already see in the distance there's a lot more detail. You can see in the far distance in that direction there are snowy trees. That's an LOD loaded from that's just a little bit of a mod by Vert called Skyrim Flora Overhaul. I do not like SFO, but I do like those snowy trees, so those I have those loading in, so you can see them all in the distance there. You can see a little bit better High Hrothgar way up there on the throat of the world. At night, Dindulod puts lights in the windows in the distance for both Whiterun, for Dragon's Reach, and High Hrothgar. Okay, now look at these wolves here. All right, so two different kinds. That's what Automatic Variants does. All right, it does that with a lot of creatures in the world. Different colors, different coats, different markings. It's really cool. It's pretty simple to run, and it just makes a huge difference in one of those just sort of little minor things that make a difference. So now looking in this direction, you can see a little bit more detail. Whiterun's a little more detailed, although the foreground there on the mountain isn't. And that's more a function of U-grids, which is the how far ahead things load. And that's not something that you really want to mess with. It can cause all kinds of issues. So you can see as those details slowly load in as you get closer. That's the U-grid setting. So let's move on over here, and we can see in the distance you can see those mountains flickering. That's called Z-fighting, and that's something that can be taken care of with some settings in the IML files. I don't bother. It's just more. I just try to ignore it and move on. A lot of people, it drives them crazy. But I'm running at a pretty solid 58, 59 frames per second in this with this mod load, and it seems to work fine, even with Dindulod, which can sometimes cause performance issues. So there you've seen an example of automatic variants. You can see what Dindulod does to the world. It's subtle. It doesn't. It's not in your face, but it adds all kinds of cool stuff. So let me just quickly give you an idea here. So we're going to fly up a little ways, and then we're going to just unload the LODs. So you can see in the distance all those little details, all that stuff there in front of the blue, that's all stuff that's been sort of dynamically generated by Dindulod. Those are the animated waterfalls, and you can see the animated windmill sails, the Gilder Green. If we were a little farther away, you'd see that Giant's Fire in the distance. You can see another Giant's Fire way in the distance there in the center of the screen. That's actually stuff on the other side of the mountain that Dindulod has generated. Way in the distance there, I'm not sure quite what that is. It's something else that Dindulod has done. And so that's all stuff that Dindulod generates as the game goes on. The flashes are from real clouds. This constant lightning flash is kind of silly, but whatever. So let's reload the LODs. So all of that stuff, and then you can see some of the stuff you see here is stuff you would see in the vanilla game, and some of the detail is stuff that's loaded along with Dindulod, that's generated when you create the Dindulod ESP. So we come back down to Earth here. Oops. So there you go. That's kind of what modding in some ways looks like. Of course, there's all kinds of other stuff built into this game, textures and meshes and things that make stuff look better, things that make the game different. But that's for another time. I wanted you all to see this. We've had some discussions about modding recently on the Facebook group, and with the coming of the remaster, there's going to be a real sort of, I hope, a renaissance of interest in Skyrim. It's already happening, and so there's going to be all kinds of people out there playing with mods, getting in trouble, getting out of trouble, so I hope everybody has a great time with it, and I hope you take the time to learn how to mod carefully and well, but also take risks and do crazy things. Just don't cry bitter tears when you lose your save. That's just what happens. So thanks for listening, and happy Skyrimming.